Hello again, everyone. Today I have a few items to share with you from Franklin-Christoph. One is still in its little box here, and I'll open that shortly. And the other is the new watercolor paper that they started carrying. This is for a standard size traveler's notebook. So you could put it in a traveler's notebook or, any other brand, that same standard size. And I'm not really sure what kind of paper is in here, like what brand of paper, but it is really thick and nice. And I did want to do a little bit of a test with some watercolors that I have off to the side, so I'll be doing that later. But basically, this is pairing, my one of my favorite things, watercolor and fountain pens. So they've started carrying watercolor paper, basically. So I'm going to do a little test after I've opened up the fountain pen, and we can see how this works. It seems pretty sturdy and thick, so we'll see. I'm going to put that over to the side for now. This is just their little business card. They recently moved into a new building, I think, in their area of, I think they're around Raleigh, North Carolina. And then this, of course, is a fountain pen. So let's go ahead and get in here. It is a special edition, although often they have special editions. They have some standards, but most of their items are kind of special in that they don't have them all the time. So this is the card information about their lifetime warranty. They do have a lifetime warranty if anything goes wrong with your pen. I have really not had many issues at all with Franklin-Christoph, but the one or two times I've had to reach out to their customer service, they've been really, really helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and put those things back in the box along with these cartridges, which I'm not going to be using. And I haven't really decided what ink to go with this pen, so I'm going to do something similar to what I did the last time I did a pen unboxing on the channel, which is kind of go through my ink swatches and see what might work best with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up, show you what pen it is, and then I'm going to do the test on this watercolor paper. And then while we're waiting for the watercolor paper to dry, which shouldn't be long here in my very dry environment, especially now, I will go through my fountain pen ink swatch book with this pen. So that way we'll kind of do double duty, but hopefully keep you entertained the whole time. Okay, so let's go ahead and open this. And all of these special edition pens do seem to come in this plaid little case these days. They used to come in a leather case or a leatherette case. I'm not sure. I don't think it was real leather, or if it was, I don't know. But it seems like they switched to mostly fabric on that. I kind of like these. I have not used them for much other than, just putting little bits and bobs in. Sometimes I'll put cartridges or something in here, but they are actually quite useful. If I ever do end up traveling again, I might end up putting pens in these to travel with, because it is sort of a nice cushioned case here, because you've got this nice soft material on the inside. All right, so let's get this open. So this is a Model 02, which I have discovered is my favorite model, which I may have mentioned on the channel before. And this is I forget exactly what it's called, but this is called the Cathedral glass color up here on the top and on the section, and then the body color and most of the cap color is the bottle glass, like green bottle glass type color, which I really like. I like demonstrator pens. I've noticed that I like them more and more. I did not get a specialty grind on this just because I was kind of surveying my Franklin-Christoph pens and noticed that I already had so many specialty grinds that I don't think I need to get any more, at least not for the time being. I mean, they don't really wear out. They last a long time, so I'm not going to be getting any for the time being. But so I did get a broad black coated nib here. It's kind of hard to see with the glare. But I do have another of these coated nibs in the broad size, and it was so smooth. It's such a great nib, so I figured having another one of those, even if I don't keep it on here, I could easily switch it to something else and be very happy with it. So you might see why I would have a little bit of an issue deciding what ink should go in here, because we've got a lot of different colors. We've got a bunch of different colors up here, and then we have, sort of just this lightly tinted bottle color here, which such a beautiful pen. They're actually, as of, well, this will be done by the time I post this, but this is right before they're going to have an online pen sale or an online pen show. And of course I bought one before that, which was probably probably a bad idea, because now I'm depending on what models they release, I might get more of those. So you may see more on the channel, but I actually have totally filled my Franklin-Christoph case, my 20 pen case. So I'm wondering, I may go through and sell one or two. I'll have to see, because I really do like most of my collection, but I do have numerous O2s, and I might be able to get rid of one of them. But they're all kind of special editions, so it's a little hard. But anyway, okay, so let's put this off to the side, and I'll bring it back out and show you this with my pen swatch notebook. But in the meantime, I am going to do a little watercolor test in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to the last page here, kind of bend this back and put it this way. And I'm not going to swatch all of my watercolors that I have in this watercolor set here. This is sort of my main watercolor palette for the time being. I've moved it from a little red case that was larger and more for home use into this one, which is a Schminke case in sort of a square shape. But this is just a little more compact, and there's easily just as much mixing space here as there is. Well, there's obviously less, but there's plenty of mixing space for my purposes. So I am going to swatch a selection of colors from here, and then we'll let that dry, and then we'll come back to it. So what I'm going to do is leave that there so you can see the colors in the paper. And I've already kind of touched this a little bit with my hands, but my preferred method of dealing with paper, watercolor paper, is not to touch it, because if I touch it too much, it'll get skin oils on the paper, and then those skin oils will resist the watercolor. And this is not actually watercolor that I have on my fingers. This is, I was messing with a Posca pen earlier today, and a white Posca pen, and got some of that on my fingers. So that's what you're seeing there. But for the rest of this, I'm going to try not to touch this. I have a watercolor brush. This is the Jerry's Artarama Rhapsody brush. And I have some water off here to the side, which is kind of dirty. So I'm not gonna profile that right now, but I am going to wet my brush here. I have to make sure I get around my wires that I have. So let's do sort of a triad. Let's do some lemon yellow, which is a little bit dirty. My husband and I were painting out of the same palette, and he was like, "Oh, you don't mind if I just dirty up your yellow?" Like, no, I guess not. What I have done here is I have to, oh, that actually looks really bright and colorful. I don't know what this paper is made out of, whether it's made out of cotton or something else. But going back to my lemon yellow here, I do have two lemon yellows, one that I use for mixing greens and one that I use for mixing warm colors. So, you know, to a certain extent, I did that so that I wouldn't have to clean it off too much. So, all right, well, let's do a dual primary swatching here. So let's do a warm yellow. In addition, I'm going to do the Schminke Quin Gold. That's a good warm yellow. And I haven't wet these beforehand, which I probably should have done. So they're probably going to be a little bit drier than normal, although I just added water there. That should make up for that. I don't think this paper is going to have any trouble at all handling all kinds of watercolor. So this is good so far. All right, then let's go with a cool red. Let's go with this Quin Rose. And the colors are showing up really quite vibrantly on this paper. And I'm also going to try mixing a couple of colors on the paper to see how it holds up. Seriously, already it looks pretty good. All right, and now I'm going to do a warm red. I'm going to do this Anthraquinoid Scarlet. How's that for a mouthful? Very bright red. And the reason why this is warm is that it leans towards orange, whereas this one is cool because it leans towards blue, meaning it leans towards more purple, because that's what you would get when you mix red and blue. Okay, so there's red, and then let's do a cool and a warm blue. Looks like I already got some water there. So for the cool blue, let's do cerulean blue for the cool blue. Normally I'm doing phthalo blue green shade, but let's mix it up. Let's do cerulean blue. And that should let us see how this shows granulating colors, because this is a granulating color. And actually I'm going to be using French ultramarine for the warm blue, so we'll be able to see that as well, to see how well the granulating on that color shows up, because this is a pretty granulating blue. Okay, I'm going to add more pigment. Okay, so let's leave that there. I'm going to do, let's mix up purple with the Quin Rose and ultramarine blue. Oh yeah, that worked really well. Okay, and then let's mix a green. Let's go with my already slightly green yellow. And then I'm going to mix the cerulean blue. And lovely, that worked great. Okay, so I'm going to set these off to the side to dry. We will come back and look at those and see how they look. They will definitely be dry by the time we've gone through the ink book here. Make sure my watercolor brush is clean. Here is my watercolor swatch book. I will put a link down below to this setup. I am always putting a link to this on all of my swatching videos, so you get quite a few stabs at it to see that video. Okay, so let's see. So I'm going to go through these fairly quickly, and let's see, would it be easier? Yeah, I'm going to leave the cap off. That way I can see both this color and this color fairly well, just by, moving it around like that. And you are getting a little bit of glare because this is pretty shiny. I'm actually wondering if a yellow would work. I think Yamabudo would actually work quite nicely with some of the reds in here and purples that you've got going on in the cap. I think, oh, I hadn't even really thought about that. That's a contender. Let's see. Because I don't want something that will clash with different parts of the pen. Aldous Huxley by Organic Studios. That might look nice. Even Citrus Black by Platinum. Let's see. None of these are catching my eye here. No, Twisby Orange is too orange. Yeah, I'm definitely leaning towards a red or blue here. Let's see. Maybe November Rain. There's some green in here, but it's not really the dominant color. I think I would want to stay away from that one, perhaps. This one's nice, the Diamine Iridescent Robert, but I think it's more magenta, that color, than purple, like this one is. So I think the Yamabudo is still the best choice of what I've seen. I mean, if we want to go with the body and something that wouldn't clash too much, I could go with Haha. No, I don't like the Haha with the top. And these two, Vintaperia and Vinta Serena, are two inks that I have found are a little too light for writing. I mean, maybe if I leave this broad nib on there, it might be okay, but they're kind of tough to see because you can see here, that's kind of the problem that I'm having. This a little less so, but still, and they don't flow as well as some other inks that I have. Okay. And the citrus black, now that I'm thinking, might work well. Krishna Yellow Valley, I don't have that in anything because it was a little bit of a troublesome ink in that it caused some hard starts, probably because it's a little dry, I think. But let's see. No, I don't think that's Sailor 280. I mean, that might work. With these multicolor pens, I mean, you really could choose a bunch of different potential inks. Mulled wine, maybe. I'm still thinking Yamabudo is a good match for that. These are all just not quite right for any of these colors. Lichen Waterfront by Birmingham, that might be okay, but again, there's not a whole lot of green in here. Honeyburst might look nice because you've got these sort of, but that's not quite so reddish as that is. It's so hard, especially if you're trying to be matchy-matchy like I often do. The Manyo Ume by Sailor might also be good. It's a little more red, but you know, I mean, that tone actually goes pretty well. Let's see. Yeah, I think now that I've looked at some things, I think a red or that citrus black. Writer's Blood. Yeah, Writer's Blood might do well too. Obviously, I'm more matching this than I am the pen itself, because the pen is fairly translucent, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to do that. Oh, Honeycomb, maybe, by Franklin-Christoph. Match color to brand. Yeah, that one might actually be nice. Oops. Let's see. That one might be okay, but again, I don't think it's quite right. No, that's too orange. Nope, a little too purple. Okay, we're nearing the end here. Sedona Red. I've noticed I haven't done the water test with a lot of these colors. I'll need to go back in and do that. It's been a while. Sailor Georgia, maybe, because there's sort of some like funky greens in between. Sailor Georgia might actually be quite nice. Yeah, so many options. I'll have to go through here again, I think. Yeah, Kyo no Oto Adzukiro, perhaps. That's just too orange. And I don't think those really go. I do like the Georgia, but I also like just the classic Yamabudo. Yamabudo is always good, and it has sort of a yellowish sheen. If you can get that sheen, you can see it a little bit here, maybe. There's a little bit of a yellowish sheen down here, so that might sort of match the yellow that's in here as well. So those are some options. You have so many options with a multicolored pen, but this was such a beautiful pen. It went on in stock, and then it went out of stock before I purchased this, and I thought, I really should have bought that, and then it came back. So I had another shot at it. Okay, well, I'm gonna put that pen aside. Let's go ahead and put my little paper in there, and then we will go back to the watercolor paper here because it is now pretty much dry. Okay, so this is great paper, guys. I have to say. So granulation, I mean, maybe if I had used a little bit more water, I probably should have used a little bit more water, but you can see the granulation, especially in the cerulean blue. And you can see a little bit of it in this mix as well. But it's really showing these colors as being very vibrant on the page. And you can see some of the granulation going on in this mix as well. So really, really impressed with that paper. Obviously, you know, a true test will be to do an actual painting on here. But I think so far, just from these swatches, I'm not seeing anything that would concern me about this paper. I don't know if it's 100% cotton. I don't think it is. It said in the description, so I will put a link below to this product on Franklin-Christoph's page. And then I can't really put a link to the pen because it has already sold out yet again. So, and I don't know if they're going to be bringing this one back, but they're always bringing out new models. And then even though this pen show will be over by the time you see this online pen show, they do bring a lot of models back, usually the most popular ones. So if there was something that you missed, they often bring the most popular ones back. So I think that's all I had for you today. Just based on this swatching, I would definitely recommend this watercolor paper. It's a really convenient size if you have a traveler's notebook that is in the standard size. So many brands make traveler's notebooks in that size. And it's actually one of the most common ones that I use for watercoloring. So this was a good choice for me. And again, I forget how many pages are in there. Anytime you have really thick watercolor paper, you're not going to get a ton of pages in your booklet, but I would prefer having pretty thick pages and better quality paper than having more paper, because it takes a little while to get through an individual booklet. So I got the pack of 3 because, you know, knowing Franklin-Christoph, I figured they would be pretty good quality. So I went ahead and got the pack of 3, but they do sell them individually as well. All right, well, that's all I had for you today. Feel free to subscribe to keep track of future videos on my channel. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. I hope to see you next time, but in the meantime, have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye.